companies. I'm sorry. Until he or she like finds the one they like, the client. So there's like 7 main phrases or like steps in order to like develop a quality software for a client. So the first one that we actually known as like URS, which is basically mean user requirement specification phase. The client actually, like in this phase, the client actually, meets with the business owner or the project manager. They discuss about the client specifications, terms, and, sign a deal in their agreement. And the second phase that we have is called planning phase, also known as technical phase. Uh, in this phase, business analysis will like, create a software requirement document based on system requirement specifications from clients. The documents simply, known as business required documents. Then we have design phase. This is the phase where designer will create a design document for developer. The design documents is included with mockups, business rules, use cases, diagrams, and other safe functions that need to complete the software. Then we have development phase. In this phase, developer create a source code using compatible coding language such as Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, C++, or C Sharp, whatever developer choose to actually work on. The developer also performs like integration testing and like compile the code as it's built. Then the fifth phase we have called system testing phase. This is where our company or like we as a team play the big role. The first we analyze and understand the software requirements from the system specifications. The next we actually create a QA plan, like test use cases, create RTM, and the test execution. After that, once we complete all this process, we actually give the software to the client, and that's where that comes actually the UAT phase, which is also known as user acceptance testing. So after clearance from the tester in this phase, the testing are done by client. The client verifies the software by hiring like independent validation or like verification team from their side. Then we have the last step of phase we call deployment. In this phase, the software will be installed under production environment, meaning that they will install the new hardware, brand new server, and everything, like they'll make sure everything is scalable for the user production. Under this phase, we also have like some other phases, like which is also known as the cutover phase, which provide like training for the users, also provide like user manuals and system manuals. So the users can actually have better understanding, or the client have like better understanding for the software built by developers. Then we have the maintenance phase, which is basically software like updates and upgrading requests if they receive the request from the clients. Then the last phase, we have configuration management phase. Manager is actually responsible to like set the projects and the documents and the contents for the clients. So that's what I have.
Thank you, brother Ahat. Is anyone able to identify any error in his explanation? Anything? Do you
I think
guys? Okay, go
in
ahead.
sorry. I think in the development phase, he only mentioned like integration testing. They perform like unit and integration testing both.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else able to point out, provide any feedback? I mean, he was good. He was very good. I mean, I'm not sure if his microphone is not clear, because at least I was not able to hear the too. It was not too clear to me, but I don't know if it's from on my end or not. But he was good. He was confident. He said it the way it's supposed to be said. But I think the first phase, user requirement phase, if I'm not mistaken, he was saying that it was URS phase, right? It is user requirement phase, but URS is a document that user comes with. The document that we have here in this phase is called URS, which is user requirement specification. The phase is not necessarily called URS phase. So that's a big one that we need to understand the difference between that. And planning phase, we convert the URS to SRS. But overall, brother, very impressive. Thank you so much. Um, anyone
Well,
else? Thank you, brother. Anyone else?
Hi, I just want to say something.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I just got the SDLC is the software development lifecycle. So it is the entire process where software is developed. So we get the first thing, the client comes with their requirements. So we call it UR. We call the phase is user requirement phase. So there comes with their documents. So we can call it like user requirement specifications. So they come with their user requirement specifications like document. Then they come to that I get from this whatever I get, I just want to share with you guys. So
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
yeah,
You're good.
okay. So from the we can call them clients. So they come to the IT company or yeah, they come to the IT company. So then I get that they talk to them and they that we wait a second.
Take your time. You're good. You're on the right track.
Okay, so I get that yeah, so yeah, they have a discussion with client and IT company to make their software usable. Every IT company has their own requirement. It's I think system requirement specification. So after the discussion, they make it to business requirement document and they send it to the designer phase. That is whoever make it designed. So then it will go to the designer phase, and after designing it is an approved manner, the designer hand it over to the developer who can make some codes on it. So usually the developer phase make codes for the software. So after completing this step, the developer send it to the software tester where we work for, I think. So we make or the software tester, the system testing process, we just try to find the bugs or the software is it working properly or not. Then we send it over to the I think the after it's done, the UAT phase comes. So where the in UAT phase, the user it's actually user accepting the sorry
Except you are acceptance testing.
user acceptance testing. Yeah, so I think they send their tester to they send their tester to like make it to
Re-verify or verify.
to re-verify to or validate it that it's good for or is it's like it's able for like
Acceptable to the customers.
to the customers. Yeah, then then after UAT phase it goes production phase, then where we can use it or everywhere everybody can use it. It's go live after on production phase. Then then the cutover phase that we can make it's actually making an user guide. I don't have any idea about it, so
That's fine.
I just get it.
If you can understand from user requirement phase to production phase, you're good to go. Cutover phase, maintenance phase, it's not being followed right now in the industry, but it's for you guys to understand. That's why I put it out there. It's for you guys know and understand. Even in an interview, you don't need to mention cutover or maintenance phase. If you do, it's good, it's a plus. But in the industry right now, nobody's following after production phase. Everybody's done. Within the production, cutover, maintenance, everything is happening. So that's good. If you can understand from user requirement phase to production phase in one direction, you're good to go. But thank you so much, Sister
Thank you.
Tamina. I
Thank
am
you.
very proud of you. This is good. Thank you for stepping out.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Don't be sorry. You're good. Just practice a little bit more. Okay. So next, Nisha, do you want to give it a shot? If you're in the call.
Okay. SDLC is software development lifecycle. It has different phases. The first phase is requirement phase. That phase is a meeting between the BA and the client. Basically, that time they give us URS, user requirement document specification. Then comes the planning phase. At that phase, URS get converted to SRS or PRD. I'm so sorry, I have so many noise going on.
That's
behind me.
fine. We have noise too, noise everywhere. We have to just go with it. Please continue.
Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Then goes the designing phase. So designing phase, designer make the marks according to the SRS. Then goes to the development phase. So development phase, basically the developer do the coding and he does the unit test and integration test. From that to goes to testing phase. Basically we walk in, we do the SRS analyzing, then we do the test planning, also the test case, and set up the test environment, all those things. Then it basically we try to find if there is any defect in the system. When we give it a clear, it goes to the deployment. I'm so sorry, it goes to the UAT phase. So it's basically client brings their own tester to check if it is actually working. Then goes to the deployment phase. That's like software goes live. Then the cutover phase working. That's basically adding the manual or the user guide. Maintaining phases, if any changes needed to be done on the client's requirement, then we just do the changes. Oh shit.
Thank you.
Configure.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm so sorry. It's just so many noise.
That's okay. Thank you. Actually, your understanding is there. You understand it clearly. Thank you. Just practice a little bit more to be able to say it in a way that gives confidence, to the interviewers. But you're good. Your understanding is good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Promi, do you want to give it a try?
Yeah, sure. I'll go. So a software development lifecycle is a conceptual framework describing all activities in a software development project from planning to maintenance. So there are total, wait, no. So the SDLC process starts from user requirement phase, where there's a meeting hold with IT company and the client where they discuss. No, wait. This is when the project team begins to understand what the client wants from the project. And it's usually with the business analyst. They discuss what they want, which then moves to the planning phase that determines project goals and the appropriate software requirement documents. Software requirement documents will be created, and the BA converts URS to a more technical document called SRS. Then there's design phase, where the designer is going to start generating software design by following SRS. Then it's development phase, where programmers begin working on source codes and they do unit and integration testing. Then there's testing phase, where multiple steps are being taken to make sure the project includes all the requirements and runs smoothly, such as creating QA plan. There's more to this, but I'll just name some. Create QA plan, set up test environment, etc. Then there's UAT phase, where user acceptance, UAT phase stands for user acceptance testing, is a type of testing performed by the client to verify the software system before moving the software application to the production environment. So they test it by themselves to see if everything's all right and all the requirements are met in the project. Then there's deployment phase, where the system is installed to a production environment where actual users can begin operating the system and it goes live. Then the cutover phase is when the client is provided with training and application support, and so the client knows how to use the project properly. And then there's maintenance phase.
Actually, that's fine, Promi. Thank you.
Okay.
So it was good, but your confidence wasn't there some reason. Last time I was very impressed with your confidence, but this time I did not see that. So please work on that. It sounded like you're reading of a book or script, something like that. Your understanding there, I know you put in a lot of time and effort, but when you're explaining this, be more confident and a little bit more strong.
Yeah, I know. I just got a little nervous. I know, I understand the material.
Yes, that's good, and I know you do, and I know you put a lot of time. So as you practice this more and more, you're going to be more confident. And that remind me, I hope everybody have a pen and paper to take some notes, because this is very essential. I think Razubai also mentioned it in last class. As please bring a pen and paper, especially folks in Bangladesh and other part of the world. Please do take notes. This is very important. The more you write and read and talk, the more you learn. Otherwise, if you just watch and listen, there's nothing's gonna happen. So thank you. Anyone else? Brother Halim, do you want to give it a shot? It may or may
Yeah,
not be complete, but please try your best.
yeah, okay. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam.
SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle, is the whole process of software development from URS to maintenance phase. There are maybe 7 or 9 or 10 phases. I'm going to one after another. First of all, user requirement phase. Client comes to the company with URS document according to their need. Discussion meeting should be done with business analyze. Then planning phase, according to URS, BA convert URS to SRS. After that, designing phase, mocks or design shall create by designer based on SRS. After the development phase, it's coding phase, build a software based on mocks or design. Then it's testing phase, our job as a QA, taking SRS document, make a clear plan step by step and find errors, bugs and missing, etc. After that UAT phase, which is testing will be done from client side. They can do it or they can hire any other their own tester. After this, it's production phase. After UAT, when client become satisfied about their needs, then it's become live for the user. After that is cutover phase, is making an user document or user guide. After that is maintaining phase, product maintaining, like upgrading, changing or adding something based on client need. Next is configuration phase. Is all the document from every phase should be saved, configuration management library. That's all I understood.
Brother, this is great. Thank you. I think this was beautiful, beautifully done. The voice was there, confidence was there, understanding was there. What more do you want? But of
Thank
course, we could definitely improve. This is very good. Thank you. Ashfaq, what is your situation? Do you understand this? Did you study this?
Assalamualaikum. Sorry about last week. I couldn't join because I really
That's
had
okay.
a wedding. And yeah, I actually understood the concept and everything. It's just I'm really confused after the UAT phase. Like so what really happens on the production phase, the cutover phase, and the maintaining phase?
To
Besides
start with your understanding, and then we'll try to help you out.
so the user requirement phase is basically when the client comes to us with what they want, with the requirements. Basically give us a URS, which is a document of their requirements, what they want from us. And then in the planning phase is basically us converting from a URS document to an SRS, and it's basically planning out what we need to do as a team to meet their requirements. And then the designing phase is where designers, they design the SRS according to their needs for them to design the application the way they actually want it to look. The development phase is when the developments are creating codes into developing the application. And the system testing phase is when the testers, that's basically us, when we will be testing the codes, the developers that created, for us to see if there's any issues, any problems, any bugs that's going on in the coding. And then from the system testing phase comes to the UAT phase, where the client would hire from their team, or they would hire someone that would also be testing the code to see if there's any bugs. So that's a second phase testing that's going to be from the user, from the client. And
Right.
then after that, I'm pretty much confused.
So after this, what happens? Like, in UAT, they're re-verifying to make sure what they ask for in UAT right here. Sorry, in user requirement phase, what they ask for, is it matching, basically? That's what they're saying, right?
Yes, that's the UAT.
So once this is met, right, it's going to go to production. And what is production? In production, everybody has access to it. Everybody has access to the application, whatever the reason they develop an application. For example, let's say they're asked to build Facebook. Let's say Facebook doesn't exist, right? So in user requirement phase, the user came in with the Facebook requirement. And here in system testing phase, we said, we have completed our work and Facebook is ready to use. Please come and take it, right? This is where they come back and they say, okay, you said it's ready, but I want to re-verify. So they're going to re-verify here. And once it's verified and accepted, it's going to go to production. Whatever the reason they build it, it's going to do the job. And Facebook was built to serve the people, right? So everybody will have access to it. Production is an environment that's where the application goes live to be accessible. So in production, until the application moves to production, nobody has access to this. We don't know what is Facebook, what is the functionality of the Facebook, whatnot, right? But in production, once it's in production, you can go ahead and access it, use it, create an account, things in those nature. And then obviously in cutover phase, like I mentioned, right? In cutover phase, what happens? User training happens. Sometimes you build an application, it's not always easy to use. Some applications are very complex. It's not the Facebook I'm talking about, there are so many different application are there. Those requires user training. So in cutover phase, user training gets done, user manual gets created, and nowadays it doesn't happen much, but before, like, there was some application requires a sub application, a plugin. It requires it to be able to operate. But nowadays everything is very smooth, and it's always next version. How can we improve? How can we do better? That's why the client server application is disappearing. Desktop application is disappearing. Everybody wants web application. Everybody wants something better, something that is more accessible to the user. People don't like limitation. So cutover phase is kind of disappearing. Like user training and everything is happening in production phase or pre-production based on the need and the company, you know, the way they want to do business, right? Maintenance phase is always going to be there, but again, there may or may not be a separate phase in the company. Right now everything is happening, the cutover, the maintenance is all being done in production phase. But you know, for understand, when we're learning, we have to learn it the proper way, right? So we're learning it the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So cutover is a separate phase. That's where user training happens. User manual gets created. If application requires another set of application to run, it gets installed there. And maintenance phase is where if there is an upgrade requires. Right? You know, you see on your phone, iOS. Everybody has iOS or Facebook. You see every month or every other month they're going to give you a notification to install the upgrade, right? That's
Yes.
nothing but maintenance. They're adding new features to that application. That's what happens in the maintenance phase.
Oh, and
Hopefully it's clear now, right?
yes. What about the configuration phase?
So configuration phase, this is where all the documentation, the final version of the documentation gets saved. You know, when user gives you a document here, right? They gave you a document here, but you have to save it somewhere for the record, right?
Mhm.
It's being distributed in every phases here, 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 right? Here. But
Yes.
you need a library where you can maintain the final version. You know, document always gets changed. Version,
So
we're going to talk about versioning later on in this.
I do have a question. So the configuration phase starts from the very first step that we take. So it starts from the very from the user requirement phase. So
Mhm.
like whenever a client comes to us, that means whatever they give us, it's always sent to the configuration phase where everything is recorded from the very first to the very last.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, so from planning phase, there's going to be SRS, like URS and SRS sitting here, right? Final
Mhm.
version of URS and SRS will be stored there. From designing phase, there's going to be final version of design document stored there. Development phase, they will have their documentation. Final version of their documentation will be stored here. Testing phase, we'll have multiple different documentation. The final version of each document will be stored here. UAT, when they sign off, their documentation is going to be stored here. So everything, every documentation that you see, a final version of that document will be stored in the configuration management library. So there is a library called CM library. This is like the standard way of learning and teaching, right? But I think I mentioned on the first day, in this industry, nothing is standardized. Every company works differently. Every company wants to do better, do the next thing before the next guy, you know? So nothing is standardized. But for us to learn, we have to follow the popular model that we have. And you know, some point it was standardized, but now everything is, you know, evolving. People trying to do something new. So when you go to actual work, you may or may not see this diagram or the following this workflow, but you have to understand it. You have to understand how a software product is being developed. Not just in SDLC process, in everything like testing. Every company does it differently. So don't be surprised. We're going to learn different technique. And when you go to work, you may have to learn something else because that company is doing their own workflow. They're doing their own way of working. So understand it. Nothing is standardized, which is good, which works out for us when we go face interviews. And nobody can say, hey, what you gave me, the answer you gave me is wrong. You can always tell them, in my last project, in my last job, this is what we did, this is how we did. And they cannot prove you wrong, but you do have to make sense. If you don't make sense, you don't make sense, right? So just, you know, the industry is not as standardized, so you can give them answers the way you understand, which is perfect for us. But again, you have to make sense.
Yes, I understand. Thank you for the understanding. I was kind of
Sure.
confused with the last one. Now it's completely clear. How it actually works.
Cool, cool. So that's good, guys. Seems like everybody put in some work, which is very good to see. Now I'm going to try to, I know a lot of people join first time today, so I'm going to try to explain one more time and then we'll move on from this. What I'm doing. Okay. So guys, just one more time and we have to move on from this. Now let's talk about user requirement phase. What happens here? In user requirement phase, we have users coming into the IT company. Let's pretend we are the IT company. We are the one responsible to build the software. User will come in with a document that is called URS, which is nothing but user requirement specification. They will come in and say, hey, we want you to build a software and this is my document. It's going to explain you how that functionality of this software should be. And this is going to be written in plain English language, let's say in a Word document or PPT, PowerPoint presentation, something like that. You know, they will come in and they'll be sitting here with BA, right? We know who BA are, right? Business analyst. They'll be sitting here with BA or project manager, PM, right? So please take note, guys, you're going to need this right here. So these guys are from the IT company, project managers and BA, business analyst. They're from the IT company. And user will come in with their URS. This is their document. And they will have meeting and hand it over to, they will hand over their URS to the project manager and the BA, right? And once this is finalized and hand over to them, now BA in planning phase, who sits in planning phase? Anybody know?
BA, business.
Business analyst.
Correct. Yes, absolutely correct. So here, no one else, only business analysts sitting here and planning. And what are they planning? They have the URS right from there. So URS is here, right? They bring the URS from the user requirement phase and they convert it to SRS. And what is SRS? System Requirement Specification. SRS is nothing but another same requirement. They're converting it, but what they're doing it, they're making it a little bit more technical. In IT industry, you know, we have technicality, right? We have to follow that technical language. It is also written in English language, but there is some technology gets added, some technical terms gets added, and whatnot, right? So they're converting, BA is converting the URS to SRS, right? Or BRD. But let's just say SRS, URS and SRS. Let's not get confused. Different company name those differently, but let's just follow one document so everybody's going to be clear. So are we clear about the planning phase? Who sits there and what they do?
I just want to say.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so in planning phase, the BA, the business analyst, take the user requirement specification and he converted it to SRS, the system requirement specification, or we can say it business requirement document. So he converted to the SRS.
Yes, he or she converts the
He or
URS
she
to
converted.
SRS. That's it. So all you need to know who sits there and what they're doing. BA is sitting here with URS and they're converting the URS to SRS. That's it, right? So once SRS is converted and finalized, they're going to send that SRS right here in design phase. In here, designer sitting there, they're going to create the mockup. They're going to create the design of that application that's supposed to be built. They're going to do their work here. And the same SRS goes here, right? In SRS goes here. Who's sitting here? Developers, right? Dev guys are sitting here, right? So dev guys are converting. No, they're not converting. What they're doing here, they're going to start coding. Only way you could create an application is by coding, right? So how they're coding, they're using a language, let's say Java, Python, Ruby, whatever it is. They are coding, and once the coding is done, they're going to do two types of testing: unit and integration testing. We are going to learn about what is unit and what is integration testing. But in this phase, just understand for the time being, developers are sitting here. They're doing their coding to build the application, and once that is done, they're going to do unit and integration testing. Once that is done, then that application moves to system testing phase. This is where we as a tester, we start testing. We start testing. And how do we do testing? We have an entire life cycle of testing. How do we do it from the beginning to ending? We will learn that. Let's not get caught up there for now. So just understand, we are doing testing here, right? So testers are sitting there. We are doing testing here. Is it clear enough?
Yes.
Cool. Then once we are done with our testing, we sign off. What is sign off, right? We would be formally signing off that application, saying that different company does it differently. But let's say you're going to sign off and the application in email form. You would be sending an email to the managers and everybody saying, "Hey, our job is done. The application is ready. Please, move it forward." So that's your formal sign off. So once you do that, now your company will reach out to the users, right? Right from here. They're saying, "Hey, the application is developed. Please come and take it," right? They're going to be saying, "Hey, hold on, because these things takes millions of dollars. They're just not going to take your word and go home with this, right?" So they're going to say, "Okay, we're going to re-verify it." So they're going to bring their own tester, or there is a term called IVNV. IVNV stands for Independent Verification and Validation Team, which is third-party team. They could hire. So if you're confused about it, let's not talk about it right now. Just understand, user or the client, they're going to bring their own testers and re-verify here. They're going to re-verify here, and if everything looks good, that application will move to production environment. This is the end goal. Production is the final and the end goal, like end of the cycle, you could say. I mean, obviously we have this too, but these are not as important. Production is the goal. That's where the application must go. And once the application goes to production, everybody has access to the application. Application is live. Application is operable. Whatever the reason they build it. And obviously, we talked about cutover phase. We talked about maintenance phase. And you guys know cutover is where training happens, documentation, user training, user manual, and plugin additional. This gets done here. And maintenance, if there is upgrade requires, the maintenance happens there. Configuration phase. In configuration phase, all the final version of documents gets stored for the record. So what do you think? Any questions? Brother Sanabiul join. Hi, Sanabiul.
Hello.
What's up, man? What's going on?
No, no, nothing.
You understand this, right, Sanabiul?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think, Rajubai? Sanabiul, next week or this week you want to try to explain this?
I think Sanabil can try to explain it now somewhat. It doesn't have to be very detailed if you can do a quick one, and then submit it in a document to me.
Yeah, Sanabiul. Okay, let's do one thing. Were you there in the? No, he missed last class. Sanabiul missed last class.
Okay.
Sanabiul, the homework was right for you to understand SDLC and write your version of SDLC, not the diagram and everything. Like each phase is what happens, and then you're supposed to submit it to Rajubai. So do you want to try to explain what it is a little bit, not too much, whatever you understand, and then by next day or two, can you write something up and send it to Rajubai?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
The user requirement phase is when the person that wants the app made and the app developers sit down and No, they meet, and the planning phase is them writing down the document and specifying what they need from the, like what they want the app to do, and then the design phase. I know I probably got it wrong.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Continue, please.
Uh, the design phase is them designing the app. No, that's the development phase, right?
Hmm.
Development phase is them designing the app and uh, filling out the requirements on the document. System testing is when they uh, try the code. No, make the code, make sure the code works, make sure the app works, and make sure it meets the requirement. In UAT phase is when the what was it? The test? No, not the tester. The person that wanted the app made in the first place. He hires, or no, they hire two people or their own personal tester and see if it fits the criteria. And the production phase is then putting it out in the market where, yeah, they put it on the market where everybody has the access to the app. And the maintaining,
That's good, Sanabul. I love you're confident, but I would like to hear feedback from Raju bhai.
Sanabil is progressing. He's getting much better. Sanabil, if you just try to write everything down, write it down in a document, and read it from the document. Start writing it properly and read it from the document, and also submit that document to me. Also, when
yeah, I just need your email. I don't think
yeah,
I ever
sure,
got it.
sure. I'll send it to you.
No,
Let's
alright.
do one thing. That's good, Sanabul. You know, I'm glad you stepped up and you're making progress, but a long way to go. Right? You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Raju bhai, can we do one thing? We have too many people. I think we need to split this group.
Yeah, we do.
So I need you to take lead of at least 10 people. Shamim can do the same,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe one more individual.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 34. I think next class is going to be close to 40.
Mm-hmm.
Because if 40 people sends you homework, your day is gone.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to figure something out. Please think about it. Let me know what is the best situation.
We will work on that.
Okay, Hassan bhai, I'm sorry I did not forget about you. What's going on, brother?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm here.
Okay, brother, tell me about your progress. Like what do you understand, what you don't understand about SDLC? Because unfortunately, we cannot move forward. I cannot stress this enough. We cannot move forward if you don't understand SDLC. It's like uh, making a building or something, but you don't understand the architect. There's no point, right? So we cannot move forward unless everybody has clear understanding of this. This is your backbone. This tells you how the entire software is being developed, what is the life cycle, and what is the process of it. So that's why, you know, we have to know from each one of you, like, what is your understanding? So Hassan bhai, if you don't mind, please explain your understanding of SDLC.
Okay. Well, what I understand that SDLC, the software development lifecycle, is the whole process of the formal and logical. All the steps are taken to develop a software. That's the definition I can tell. And there is like about 8 different phases involved in the whole cycle, and I can go explain what step by step, but I can go like first we do the requirement phase, and then we do the planning phase, then we do the design phase, then we do the development phase, then we do the testing phase, where usually we're going to be working on at the real life. Then we do the user accepting phase, then we do the deployment phase, and then we do the maintenance phase. Like you just explained, it's much easier to understand. Like when the iPhone You know, so sometimes we do updates. That's the maintenance phase they do. And do you want me to explain
If
what
you
is
can
required?
explain like the different phases, what happens in each phases.
In the requirement phase, there is like BA, usually the user requirement, the specification will be discussed with the PM and the BA, the business analyst. They sit down in a meeting and they do all kinds, you know, what is requirement, and they try to work on it. Then they do go to the planning phase, where is the BA and the SRS, like system requirement specification, has you know, the discussed, and they shall create a document. What they usually create a document what they will doing next, and they do the and then it goes to the design phase, where the architect uh, uh, they do the. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. That's why.
That's fine. Take your time, brother.
And the architect things done, and they create the software design, and they, you know, and based on the SRS, and they do, the architect actually do the whole software and mainframe design. They do the mainframe design, and then after that it goes to the deployment phase. That there is developers and start working the code, and they do the integration testing on the deployment phase, and they work with other codes and they start building the software. And then after that, it goes to the testing phase, where we shall work, inshallah, in future, and they do all kind of what do you call it? They do the analyze and understand all the requirement from the SRS, and they make a create the test plan. They do all the test cases. You know, is this? So should I skip it or just? And
Yeah,
then,
no, move to next phase. For now,
okay.
just say in the testing phase, testers start their testing. That's it.
Okay.
Just keep it one word.
Okay, then they do the user acceptance test phase, and then in this phase, the testing, the the uh, the company the company hires their own people to test the software, and if I say in easy words, and then it goes to the deployment phase. The software start install in the machine, and it goes to the production. And
That's fine, brother. Up until this is fine. Thank you, Hassan bhai. Thank you. Your understanding, I know, I see your understanding, but you're very hesitant. Please put in a lot more time and practice it individually. Practice out loud how to explain this. The main reason I'm trying to put you on the spot, because in an interview, I'm not going to go and take your interview. You're the one who's going to be doing the interview, right? So if you're not confident here, if you're not fluent here, then you cannot pass the interview.
right,
So try when you're at home, you know, please practice it out loud. If it doesn't work, or you can call up somebody and say, hey, can we practice? You know, you ask me, I ask you, you know, try to team up. This platform is ready and there, right? In a Zoom meeting, you can join anytime. You can call somebody and say, it is accessible 24/7. There is no restriction in this meeting room. So you can just join, call somebody, say, hey, can you please hear me out? I want to explain this. And this is how you learn, you know.
Okay, Kadir, I want to say something.
Please.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is getting an understanding of SDLC. I want to explain it in a more aggressive way and short way. It seems a lot of you guys are having confusion about all the keywords and what to say in each phase. This is me saying it aggressively. Let's say somebody asks you what happens in SDLC, and they think you don't know anything. This is what happens in SDLC. SDLC, it has a few phases. The first phase is user requirement phase. In this phase, the client comes to the IT company with their needs, and they bring their URS document, and they have a meeting with the BA. The next phase is the planning phase. This is where the BA converts the URS to a more technical document called SRS. Done. Next phase is the design phase. During design phase, the designers make mock-ups of the system. Next phase is the development phase. This is where devs do their coding and they do unit and integration testing. Next phase is the testing phase. This is where we as QA testers perform our SDLC process. Done. Next phase is a UAT phase. In UAT phase, the client hires their own testers to do testing, user acceptance testing. Then it's the production phase. This is where the product goes live. Then it's the maintenance phase. This is a future phase where future add-on, future changes are made or maintenance is done. There, that's it. If you are having trouble, just explain it aggressively, cover the keywords, and make 2 documents, one aggressive and one detailed. Please work on that, everybody.
I hired Raju today if I had an opening. If you can explain like this, done. Your job is there.
We just have to work on it. We have to be aggressive. If when we are having a little hesitation, you get yourself mad, get yourself hyped up and explain it. Speak loud. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm speaking loud over here, but get aggressive and get this done. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Raju. This was beautiful. I see, Raju, you see Hanan Mama is there after a long time. Can you hear me?
Hi everyone.
How are you?
Baina, I'm very good. How are you?
Hanan bhai, assalamu alaikum. Welcome back.
Walaikum Raju. How are you?
Good.
How are you doing today?
Good.
He's in Bangladesh. He's in Bangladesh
Oh,
now.
okay. He's still in Bangladesh. Okay, good.
Yes, Raju. I'm still in Bangladesh. I'm actually stuck. My
he's
flight has
stuck.
been cancelled. My flight has been cancelled until July 21st. And I have to wait for it.
Enjoy your time there. Enjoy your time.
I try my best, brother. I can enjoy lockdown everywhere.
But join the class. Enjoy, but join the class.
Yes,
Thank you.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Nice to see everyone.
Same here. Okay. I'm gonna move on now. Let's talk about something else. Let's move on from this. Okay. I hope folks in Bangladesh and other part of the world, if you have any question, please ask before we move on. Okay.
Where do we submit the homework, by the way?
Okay, that's a good question.
We're gonna give you some links, but work on the homework when you're done. Everybody say you're done, and we'll give you a link or an email to send it to. That won't be a problem.
Yeah, keep me
thing
in the loop, Raju as well. Like when
Yeah.
you are getting, just send it to me and you, whomever is sending. Yeah.
I will.
But I think we should have at least two or three key member who can, so we have 35 people, right? Maybe more. Next week, I think I'm expecting more. So now I want Raju to lead a team, Shamim to lead a team, and one more individual. And so let's say Raju can have like 10 people under you, Shamim can have 10, and then one more individual who's knowledgeable enough, who can tackle.
Assalamualaikum Kadir bhai.
Walaikum salam bhai.
I'm Tahmid.
Tahmid, you're in, man. I didn't see you. Sorry.
Welcome. So yeah, I can help you. Yeah, I'm here.
That's it. Thank you.
Perfect.
So Raju bhai, let me go through the next next slides and everything, can you please take the names and make 3 teams? By end of the class, we should have 10 people under you, 10 people under Tamid, 10 people under Shamim. Put most of the BD folks under Shamim so he can have a separate session with them if requires. So because he's close to them. You understand, right?
Yeah.
So please, can you work on that while I'm going through next slides?
Yeah, we can even after the class, some things we need to go over. I'll relay it in the chat, so everybody is in the chat, so everybody knows.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, very good to see Tamid. I need to connect with you as well, man.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this was SDLC. You know, we already shared this document with you. This is part 3 is all about SDLC up until here, and now, okay, let's talk about. So this is SDLC as a whole, right? This is SDLC as a whole. How a software products being developed. Now, within the SDLC, there are different model. There are different methodologies that the IT company follows. But out of them, 3 of them are most common and popular in the market. So if we talk about different model that SDLC has, Waterfall is a model. V model is one more. Agile, Fish, Incremental, Spiral, and Roop. These are the 7 different model SDLC followed, right? So now we learn about SDLC. SDLC has different phases and whatnot and workflow. But within the SDLC, there are different ways people work. So different model people follow, right? This is what we're going to learn. So this 7, we're not going to learn this 7, but we're going to go over the first 3. First 3 are most popular. I've been in this industry more than 10 years and nobody talked about this. Nobody, trust me. So just know the name, but don't worry about this. But these 3 are very important. And out of these 3, Agile is taking over the world. Waterfall, it was the way to go 10 years ago. Everybody was working under Waterfall. V model was followed by the government project. You know, whenever there was a big government project, they follow V model, which is like 5% of the market. And Agile did not exist 10 years ago, but right now is all Agile or nothing. Nobody likes anything else but Agile. We'll find out. We'll find out why. What's so good about Agile? But we're going to talk about Waterfall and V model today, and then Agile maybe a little bit. Let's see how it goes. So Waterfall and SDLC phases are same, no difference, more or less same. But Waterfall, we're going to look into Waterfall. So this is the Waterfall diagram. What is Waterfall? Waterfall is a sequential development methodology where everything happens in a sequence. Guys, if you have a hard time hearing me, please let me know. I know there's so much noise today here. Please let me know. I'm trying to speak as loud as possible.
No, you're fine.
Cool, thank you. So Waterfall is sequential development methodology where everything happens in a sequence. It's like a water flow. You know how when you're in a river, you see water flow, it goes in one direction. That's why it was named after that only. So in Waterfall, you see there is a requirement phase, just like SDLC. There is a requirement phase, there is a planning phase, there is a design phase, there is development phase, testing phase, UAT phase, and deployment phase, right? Just like SDLC, no difference. So back in the days, everything was SDLC was entirely waterfall based. But now, things are evolving, things are changing. That's why we have so many more different models in the market. So we're not going to go over Waterfall we're not going to spend too much time because we already spent so much time in SDLC, and SDLC and Waterfall is the same thing. Only difference is everything happens in a sequence in Waterfall. First, what happens in Waterfall is a requirement phase. That's where requirements get gathered, and then once the requirement is done, it gets finalized, and then they move to production phase. I'm sorry, what am I saying? Planning phase, right? After requirement phase, we move to planning phase. So once requirement is done and complete, that's it. No work gets done in requirement phase anymore. Like I said, it's a sequential, right? Once this is done, When requirement gathering is done and finalized, requirement gets froze. Nobody touches that. It's done, right? Once that phase is entirely complete, then we move to planning phase. Then planning gets complete entirely and finalized. Once that is done, then we move to design phase. That's where designer do the designing. And once designing is complete, there is no changes to be done. Then we move to development phase. And then developers start coding. And once the coding is done and their internal testing is done, we move to testing phase. And then testing, once testing is done, we move to UAT phase. And then we move to production or deployment phase. So everything happens sequentially. One phase gets their work entirely done, then it moves to next phase. The next phase gets their job entirely done, then it moves to next phase, and so on. That's why it's sequential. And before IT company, they would come in and give their requirement in the requirement phase, and that's it. You know, they go on vacation or whatever. Whatever the timeline that they fix, let's say a 6 months project, they agreed upon. 6 months later, they're going to come back to UAT phase and see the application. Why I'm going through this, you will understand when we move to Agile. So understand SDLC, I mean, Waterfall and SDLC is very similar, very, very similar. Phases are same, only difference is Waterfall is sequential. That's it, done. Guys, any question?
I have a question. So you did mention obviously that there isn't much difference between SDLC and the waterfall. The only difference is the sequential, which I get it. So isn't like also SDLC also kind of sequential as well, because we do follow one step one after one step. Like we kind of follow
yes, yes, you have a point, but only difference is SDLC is the entire process of how how we develop a software product. But within that SDLC, there are different models. So Waterfall is nothing but a model, which is mimicking SDLC.
Right. Oh, so basically, Waterfall is a model of the SDLC.
SDLC.
Okay, got it.
So you'll understand more as we go, as we move further along. So, but for now, you understand, right? It's a model within the SDLC.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. So that's good. So I hope everybody understand Waterfall. If you have any other questions, please ask me now before we move on to V model. Good. Okay. So let's move to V model. So V model is, remember we talked about verification and validation. So V model is a framework. V stands for verification and validation. So if you understand that, don't spend too much time on V model, guys. You know, you're rarely going to see a company who's following V model unless until it's government project. And these are very rare nowadays. It's not even 2% of the market. Okay, let me just show you a diagram of V model. So when I say V model, so it's a V shape work, right? In one side verification is happening, another side validation is happening. So if you look at the first side of the V is requirement is being designed, system is being designed, architecture is being designed, model design, coding is happening at the bottom right here, and developers are doing unit testing here, developers are doing integration testing here. We as a testers, we are doing our system testing here, and UAT is happening here. So you can see like this is a V-shaped model, right? One side verification is happening, one other side is validation is happening. So that's the entire V model. If anybody asks you, you can just explain to them, you know, V model stands for verification, validation. In one side, verification is happening, other side is validation happening. So by looking at V model diagram, can you guys differentiate what is verification and what is validation? We talked about it in last class a little bit. So can you differentiate what is verification and what is validation?
Verification is a method to get the result, and validation is the result.
Absolutely. But can you look at this diagram, brother? Look at this diagram and see, like, can you understand when we say what is verification and what is validation? I mean, let me simplify this a little bit more. Like verification is like we said in the last class, verification is a process of validation. If you look at this here, right, they're not doing any actual validation. They're only doing verification. They're designing stuff, right? Requirement designing is not validation, right? They're just gathering the requirement here, right? This is the requirement, right? And once the requirement is validated in the acceptance phase, that becomes validation. Validation is action item, right? Validation, you are actually validating that requirement here. Within the requirement, they're talking about how systems should be built. And once you perform the acceptance test, you will know the system was built according to that requirement, right?
Yes, yes, I understand.
So yeah, so if you look at this side, like, this is not action item tied to that application, right? They're designing stuff, but yes, this is also action item, but it's not being validated. They're designing and planning here, but validation is happening here. All the validation is happening here. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So the actual validation is
so requirement phase, like I'm a client, I want to, I need this one. And the last things is acceptance. When I accept,
yeah,
everything, once everything done,
yeah.
I test my own way and will accept or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, any questions on a V model or waterfall or V model? Any questions? Yeah.
So you're saying basically whole building process is the verification and just testing process is the validation?
Tied to this V model, but a verification and validation in a real world. Let me go a little bit. Let's do a little bit deep dive in verification validation. So verification here we says confirms. Ignore this because this is not going to give you this technical answer. It's not going to give you too much of a details. Like, so if you look at the difference between verification and validation, verification is a static practice of verifying document, design, code, and program. Validation is dynamic measurement of, okay. I'm going to send you guys this. Please go through this, but let me simplify this for you. I think we talked about a little bit last week, right? Verification is something that is nothing but the process of validation. For example, like if I say, can you make sure that, my car is parked outside. So from me saying and from you going there, the actual process of you going there is the process of verification. And then when you're going there and you see that the car exists and you come back with the result is validation. Does it make sense? Verification is the process of validation. If you can understand that, that is super clear.
Basically, verification we are checking, validation we are confirming.
Yes, that's it. Perfect. So if you look at this bullet point, verification, it is a human-based checking of documents and files, and validation is computer-based execution of program. So this is written in IT related way, but what I said and what you talked about is more accurate. I mean, this is also accurate, but to understand, this is tied to the IT industry only. But what I said, verification, and what you asked me is absolutely right. Something is good or broken, confirming something is good. Okay, so you see, verifying is verify something is good or broken. Validation is confirming of something is good or broken. Does it make sense? I know I was not too clear about verification validation.
good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not super satisfied of how I explained, but I hope you guys understood.
I think it's just basically saying that verify is a process, validation is just a confirmation. That's what it is. Just a simple word.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, good. So next topic, guys, Agile, and that requires 3 days. How are you guys feeling? I think we went over like 30 minutes of actual time. Usually we have like a 1 hour session, but today already 1.5 hours. How are you
Yeah,
guys feeling?
we went over the time today, and I'm not sure how everybody else is doing, but you know, it seems like a lot for one day.
Okay, so if you can understand what is SDLC, if you can understand what is waterfall, if you can understand what is a V model, if you can understand what is verification validation, I think you have a lot already. I think you do have a lot. You have you already started and you already know enough, I would say, for first 2 or 3 weeks that we spent. And Agile is a different ball game, and I need you guys fully focused when we talk about Agile. So I don't know if I should give you some Agile, but it's going to confuse you a lot and it's going to give you, some of you, headache, but I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. What do you guys say? Like, let's leave it for next week, or what do you guys want to do? Come on, guys, speak up. It's your platform. It's everybody's platform.
If you guys don't speak up, we're gonna go another 45 minutes. What do you guys want to do?
I'll say you could just leave it for today. The reason I'm saying, because I think you have a meeting with 3 other people after the class, so
That's
it's up
true.
to you as well.
No, that's true. Okay, no, that's true. Thank you so much for a suggestion, brother. So let's talk about, I think Raju is going to come up with the team structure. Let's talk about homework. So homework, guys, please try to complete the homework. It's for your own good, not for me. Obviously, if we are successful, if you are successful, it's going to reflect on me and everybody else, right? You know, we're putting in a lot of hard work here. Please, you know, try to complete your homeworks. Another thing, guys, this document was written in 2014 or 15. I modified some of it, but when you go through this document, you'll find some error. You'll find some, not like, you know, logical error, but you're going to find some grammatical error, or maybe some spelling mistake here and there. I don't know. I did not have time to review this. You know, if you see that, please make the correction and whatnot. It's a big document. There are so many documents. I did not have time to go through each and every document and try to make correction. If you see something, say something or make changes accordingly. So that's something I want to tell you. But this is a standard document. I made changes to the current market need, you know, but it's just not everything. Okay. So homework, like SDLC, everybody has to have complete understanding of SDLC. Waterfall, everybody has to have complete understanding of waterfall. What is waterfall? What is V model? What is SDLC? These three, please understand thoroughly. Verification, validation. I want everybody to write down something about verification, validation, something about waterfall, something about V model, and send it according to how Rajubai is going to lay out the plan. Let's say, you know, 10 people he assigned under himself. Please send your homework to him. CC me on the email so I see the activity. If Shamim has 10 people under him, you guys please send your email to him, CC me. Tamid is here. He is from last batch. He is really good. He's very sharp. He's going to speak later. And I'm going to take a break like after 4 or 5 weeks. You know, hopefully Rajubai and Tamid, maybe Tipu, if he's here or he's not, he's going to also teach you guys a little bit. SQL class, I try to give it to Tamid and Tipu. The reason is SQL is scripted. There is, you don't need to do anything other than what is the script is saying. So they're very good at it, and I'm very happy with how they're conducting that class. So they're going to do that. Other than that, they're always there. Tamid and Rajubai and Tipu always there. They're from the last batch and they're really good, and some of them already working.